when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, morning, good morning. On the microphone, morning. I just want the microphone, morning, morning. Take the mask off your face and look at me face to face. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. This world is getting so cold.
Morning. It's 7 a.m. This is the Tobago Updates morning show coming to you live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. I'm Julian Skeet.
And I am Rhea Richardson George, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning to you, Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad. Good morning, Caribbean. Those of you viewing us on the live. Good morning, Julian. It's a wet and rainy day today.
I know, and I have no challenges with this kind of weather.
I know. I never understand why. I am usually in the studio very cold, while Julian is in the corner here sweating.
Yeah.
I can never, it's supposed to be the reverse, but I'll never understand it.
So Rhea, what's happening in the Tobago space? What's happening overnight, happening yesterday in the mix?
Well, it's been pretty quiet. I'll tell you, Tobago has been pretty quiet since Christmas. Things opened up on Tuesday, and the place has been very, very, very quiet. Almost like the calm before the storm. I'm really hoping that there is no storm to come, physical or otherwise. But we're certainly looking forward to the start of a new year. We're just about 2 days away from New Year's.
2 days, just
so
about
this is
2
the
days.
eve.
Yes.
The eve of New Year's Eve.
That 2 days includes today. So basically we're 1 day away.
We're 1 day away.
Yeah, 1 day away.
We're looking at increase in the price of flour.
Yeah, which again is something that's going to directly impact many, if not all of us.
That's right. So you're talking about, an increase all around. I'm thinking, Julia, we need to go back to the days of cassava flour and dasheen flour and all of these persons who are into agro processing and who've been making all of these things over the last few years. I'm seeing here an increase in supply.
Yeah, I think, sadly, I have no clue what those things taste like, but I've heard persons talk about it.
Julian, you disappoint me. You disappoint me.
I've heard. I am in that mix where, of course, we would have adapted flour to our taste.
So you are a flour boy?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Anybody who knows Julian Skeet will tell you that. That's one of the things I'm working on, and I'll set that in my 2022 focus as well, folks. Yes, to try to minimize on that intake with flour. But I love anything that's flour based.
I can do it. I have no problem.
That's definitely part of my weakness.
I don't have to have it.
And it's interesting, Rhea, that we're speaking naturally to that kind of circumstance in terms of the NFM price increase. In fact, that takes us to, just give an indication that first on our rundown this morning, we'll be chatting with Rajiv Dipti, and that's president of the Supermarket Association of Trinidad and Tobago. So we'll be getting his perspective regarding this price increase and what the impact is expected to be. Rhea, who else do we have on the lineup this morning?
Well, very interesting interview coming up just after we chat with Mr. Dipty. We are chatting with Ansel Roger, President General, Oilfield Trade Workers Union. And we're going to be chatting this morning on the mandatory vaccine for government workers. Mr. Roger has his perspective, his own perspective rather, and well, based on the union's move, they are not in agreement with the Prime Minister's statement or the Prime Minister's or the government's move or push to have government workers mandatorily vaccinated. There is what the government is stating here is that the workspaces have now become safe zones, and as a result of that, all government workers or government offices are now safe zones, and as a result of that, all government workers must be vaccinated. So you're talking school teachers, you're talking government offices, etc. So we hear a little bit more on what he has to say on that.
It will be interesting to see how that goes. And Ria, we got to do our birthday shout-outs.
Before you jump to the birthday, Julian, our background this morning, I understand is Plymouth. Yes, I think
this
we're talking
area looks
Plymouth.
like, yes.
Looks like Plymouth. And this picture this morning is courtesy Kerry Workout. Kerry, thank you so much for sending it in. Yes, we're getting a beautiful shot. Did you see that? Our background this morning, beautiful Plymouth, Tobago. Wow.
Now, isn't Tobago lovely?
Beautiful.
Yes, folks, coming to you here from Tobago. This is Tobago Love. This is Tobago Love here on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. I have to go into my voice for that.
Yes, I
have to go into my voice for that one.
It is Tobago Love.
So, folks, this morning we want to say good morning to all of you joining us out there in Trinidad, as well as throughout the region, connecting with us, and even those of you abroad internationally as well. Thank you for tuning in to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We have had friends that said, Julian, I'm out on vacation, but I make sure that I tune in on a morning to ensure that we connect. This morning I want to shout out just at the start of the lineup, my cousin there, to wish her a very happy birthday. And most of you may know her as Dr. Crystal Skeet St. Hilaire. Good morning and happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. I trust that you really have an enjoyable one today. And I know the demands of work. Ria, on average, when I pass through the Boku area there, because you know that's where the Skeets are from, I barely see Crystal ever so often. It's always in between that demand for work, but that's the dedication and commitment of our medical professionals. So this morning I'm just taking time out to say happy birthday to you, and I trust that you have an enjoyable one.
As well, we've got birthday greetings going out to Wayne John. Wayne John, good morning. Happy birthday going out to you. I know, listen, if it's one thing we know is that Khadija has a plan for you. We have no doubt about it. That plan, however, we know does not include us, but we will accept cake and ice cream, just letting you know. And Michael Moses, happy birthday going out to you. Love from the Tobago Updates family as well. So have a great day, guys.
I want to also shout, make sure and connect. Wayne, we're trusting that you have an enjoyable one this morning. And you know, in particular, Wayne, you're lucky I couldn't get through my my Facebook enough. There was this post that you put up that I wanted to refer to. But next time for that, Wayne, have a good one this morning. And to all the viewers joining us and connecting via Gael, the Caribbean, as well as M&E TV. Good morning to you. Good morning. And we want to remind you, you can also connect with us via WhatsApp at 284-6597. That's 284-6597. And we continue to look forward to those of you joining us on the live. Remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
The Grinch has gone greener. In TNT, we love to lime and laugh a lot, but our waste hurts the earth, and that has got to stop. Good thing for those going greener, stepping up to save the day. Everyday heroes in their own way. You too can show you care. Recycle aluminum, plastic, glass, and Tetra Paks with iCare. Gather up the empties. Take them to your nearest iCare spot. They're all across the country. Check iCare TT and let's clean up. Help clear our drains and landfills. Stop the flood. So simple to do good. Recycle now with iCare. Let's all do our part. Show Sweet TNT we love you with all of our heart. Visit iCare TT for more info.
Talk Watch and listen to win big this Christmas with a Digicel Prime Bundle. The more you watch, cheer, and dance to your favorite Digicel apps, the more chances you have to win thousands of shake-to-win prizes. Enter to win grand prizes of $100,000, home appliances, and groceries valued at $50,000 or free Digicel services for a year. Visit My Digicel or dial *323# to buy a Prime Bundle today and talk, watch, listen to win big with Digicel. Better together this Christmas.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning.
Morning. Yes, folks, it's 7:08 a.m. and this is the Tobago Updates morning show coming to you live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. Just as we prepare to head into this segment, we want to shout out this morning Russell Morrison on the live, Grace Stanley, Shala Ramsey Roberts, Listra Cowie Scotland, Glenda Sebro, Schumer Carter this morning, Listra Belfont, Shamfa Melville, good morning. Thank you all for joining in on the live so far. Okay, that's as far as they're allowing me to go. Folks, ensure that you remember to share the live. And we are in this segment. Who are we chatting with this morning?
Very good. Julian, this morning for this segment we are chatting with Mr. Rajiv Dipti, and Rajiv is the president of the Supermarket Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Hi, good morning to you, Rajiv. Mr. Dipti.
Hi, good morning to the Tobago Update family, and I want to wish you all compliments of the season as well as...
All right, let's just try again because we're not hearing you, so just double check to make sure you're on mute.
Testing.
Good,
Testing.
Excellent.
Beautiful. Yes, we're hearing you a lot better now.
Right, I would like to wish all the best. Compliments of the season to you and to the Tobago Updates family. Thank you for having me this morning.
It's a pleasure to have you on the program this morning. And all the best to you as well.
Yes, all the best to you guys. And I want to wish a very happy birthday to the medical professional. I believe it was Dr. Crystal. I have a very special appreciation for the medical professionals during this period.
Thank you so much for saying that. Let's get into things here now. Mr. Dipti, you know, we're talking this morning about the NFM increase from January, we understand, January 3rd. Give us an idea of how this translates from NFM to the consumers' pockets. Give us an idea.
I think NFM has made it clear that the price increases are going to range between 15 to 22%. And we've seen that in the examples given with the 2 kg, that means an additional $2.50. And I believe with the 4 kg, that could mean an additional $10. And correct me if I'm wrong there, but what we're seeing is that we have to recognize that flour is a key input of production in the manufacture. When we talk about everything from bakeries and bakery products to doubles to things that are consumed almost on a daily basis by the nation, and this is an element of the core food basket. This is not considered a luxury good. This was something that was already 0 rated, for example, and this is not entirely good news for the nation at a time when we consider that persons have been without an increase in revenues, with a decline in savings, an erosion of savings from periods of lockdowns, as well as curfew and a state of emergency that has since elapsed. And this is yet another challenge for the shoppers of Trinidad and Tobago and the consumers. And this is something that we feel very strongly about, that was not needed at this time.
One of the things that was also mentioned specifically by NFM would have been the indication of what is an estimate, I think about 15% or so, as the proposed increase or add-on for those of you in terms of being able to pass on to the consumer. Give us a sense of how do supermarkets operate within those constraints? Are you limited by that? Can supermarkets go beyond that in terms of their range for consideration, in terms of the profit margin and so on? Tell us how much within your scope, as supermarkets, that will fall.
First of all, let's be clear, right? NFM has the same challenges that the importers and suppliers of goods in this country has, in that it's been affected by the pandemic and the supply chain disruptions that have been coming with the pandemic. When we talk about the container shipping crisis, the additional freight and insurance, the decreased yields and the decreased cycles of production, the adverse weather conditions that have contributed, look, we get it. We understand what the challenges have been for all. When we talk about NFM, however, we talk about an entity that is considered the National Flour Mills. The National Flour Mills has an obligation as the major manufacturer and provider of flour to the nation to really make it readily available in some form or fashion. And we also understand that NFM, National Flour Mills, is majority owned by corporations, so that is the government of Trinidad and Tobago. Do we feel that they could have done more to hold on the price increases at this time? The answer in the widespread general public at this time is yes. They are saying that they are price takers on the international market, and we do understand that where we consider the landed prices and cost of wheat. With respect to the price increases being passed on, we are simply price takers. If they sell it to us at a price that they are now indicating is to be 19% or 15 to 22% higher, because they notarized the price increase and said that it will take place on Monday, January 3rd, then we will have no choice but to pass it on to the consumers. But to suggest that supermarkets can take advantage of passing on even higher prices is not something I'm particularly worried about, as there are many supermarkets. It's a highly competitive sector. It's fiercely contested, and what we see is that we will just have to be passing it on to the customers. If a customer feels that the price isn't good enough at one supermarket, they have the option and opportunity to shop around for the best purchase. However, we are more cognizant of the wider implications of what the price increase in flour means when we consider just how wide the net is for flour, and what it's used for, and the consumption of flour, and what it means for the cost of living and the enjoyment to the consumer in terms of the reduction of what they can buy now with what's in their wallet. So at this time it's really something that we have to work on when we talk about things such as import substitution and what this means for the future. It's not a great time to be talking about this during a pandemic, 2 years through various lockdowns and various cycles of upheaval, but this is where we are right now.
Right, Rajiv, let me ask you here. One of the concerns on the ground in Tobago particularly is the cost of living. The cost of living in Tobago is higher than it is in Trinidad. When we think of the supermarkets in Tobago having to pay for freight, etc., to bring the goods over to Tobago, bring whatever it is they purchase, particularly in this case flour, from Trinidad to Tobago, the cost is going to be higher for persons living in Tobago. What do you say to that?
I say it's one more reason we didn't need this price increase right now. I think that National Flour Mills is not your average commercial entity. It's majority owned by the government, and this is a price increase that we feel should not have happened at this time. However, with the cost of living being of major concern at street level, we see that a lot in Trinidad because those are our customers. And with respect to Tobago, I can only imagine what the additional cost of shipping the goods must be adding to the bottom line where the cost of living is concerned. And that is just yet another challenge that will have to be looked at by the administration to see what can be done, because that is something that we have absolutely no control over, and that is something that administratively perhaps could be looked at to provide some form of subsidization.
What kind of representation can we anticipate from the Supermarkets Association on this matter? Is it just a rollover and pass on the cost to the consumer, or is there going to be some kind of documented representation to NFM or to the government based on some of the core issues that you're mentioning here, with, of course, the corporation Seoul being a major stakeholder in all of this?
That really is something that we feel we will consider, but at this point in time we have to understand the creation of exigencies by the pandemic. And I mean, we've spoken about it. The cost of global food prices have been soaring. It's a worldwide phenomenon. It would be remiss of me not to acknowledge that. This is not just happening in Trinidad and Tobago, it's happening by as much as hundreds of percentage points worldwide. In Argentina, just to give you an example, we've seen the price of some goods being frozen as the government tries to find a way to control spiraling inflation. In other territories, we've seen various mechanisms, interventions by governments. So, it's something that we need to treat compassionately with, because my concern is for the most vulnerable in society. While a certain section of society might be able to absorb the price increase, not all will be able to, because they're on fixed income basis, and they're already stretching that to meet the cost of living, be it their rent, their utility bills, the families, it's something that's becoming more onerous, and what the impact of the price increase where flour is concerned has in terms of a domino effect across the industry is something that needs to be carefully considered. And I wonder if National Flour Mills did do its diligence before announcing this price increase, which at 15 to 22% is not insignificant.
Rajiv, you rightly said, this is all in keeping with global trends. There's not much, this situation is not isolated to Trinidad and Tobago. Unfortunately. Fortunately or unfortunately?
Unfortunately,
however,
I believe.
What can consumers do at this time? It's almost as though, you're between a rock and a hard place. There's not much you can do unless you decide to stop eating flour-based products. Cut bread and cake and roti and bus up shut and doubles and all of this thing out of your diet. What can we do?
Well, I was listening to the discussion before I came on here, and I was listening to the dietary preferences, and to suggest that we ask people to shift their dietary preferences involuntarily is something that just will not happen. We have to remember that where traditional carbohydrates are concerned, flours are key ingredients in the consumption of many of them. That being said, however, when we look at the alternatives that could be provided to the market, we have to look at the culture of consumer consumption. And this is something when we consider, how would they test if we offered cassava flour, Edo's flour, potato flour? The reality is that the wheat flour is widely enjoyed, and this is something that we feel very strongly about at this time. And we see that where we've tried to create a shift in the consumer culture, it just has not been able to happen organically. So the long and short is that as long as consumers continue to buy the products, you will not see any kind of shifts happening. However, I think we should be incentivizing alternative forms of production, alternative forms of flour. And I think we in Trinidad and Tobago, we have everything we need to be successful in the creation of these ideas and initiatives. However, there needs to be some collaboration and a framework to see these things emerge.
We have seen some increases around the region in terms of, I think we've seen it in Barbados, Jamaica, Guyana, all experiencing similar kind of increases within the last year. NFM indicates that, you know, this is something that they could not do anything differently about ultimately in terms of going in this direction. What would be your core or fundamental advice? Should you have had a seat at the table or be consulted prior to this kind of move? What kind of major variation or advice would you have been able to put forward?
The National Flour Mills has a board of directors and a management structure in place that would put the decision making before that team to ensure that the most responsible decision would have been taken. However, as I noted, the National Flour Mills is not your average commercial entity. It is backed by the corporation soul, and I strongly feel that they could have held back on this decision to pass on such a significant price increase at this time. As of this morning, we're already hearing other companies such as the Kiss Baking Company making pronouncements that they will be revising the prices of their offerings, and I suspect we will be seeing further pronouncements in the coming days by similar companies, and this is not something that we needed to start 2022 in such a fashion. I did not particularly like the timing of this announcement in the pre-2022, post-Christmas 2021 period. I felt that it sends the wrong messages to the nation at a time when we need to be, as a national collective, trying to focus on solutions.
Quick question as we look to wrap this morning's interview. It's only anticipated quite naturally that a number of suppliers, etc., will have stock in, or what we refer to as old stock. Is it likely that they will give a fair opportunity to sell off that old stock at the old rate, or is it just that automatically, come Monday morning, whether it's old stock or new stock coming in, you're going to get it at the new price at the supermarkets?
Okay, so just to set some etiquette on the table, good industrial practice will see that if I as a supermarket purchase stock at a certain price, then I will maintain the price that was on offer for those products at that price up to the time that I then have to replenish stock. At that point in time, when I do purchase stock at the new prices that are being set by the provider of goods, then I will have to take into consideration the price increase of the goods that I'm purchasing, and then adjust my prices accordingly. Now, these dates will vary by stores depending, one, on the inventory of their warehouses, and two, the purchases at the point in time. You may find that, and that is best industrial practices. And you will see that carried out at the leading members of the Supermarket Association. Some supermarkets will take it upon themselves to pass on prices on the date of announcement. However, it's not what we consider best industrial practice, which is why we always urge consumers, I urge consumers, you have the option to shop around for your products, and there are many supermarkets in Trinidad and also in Tobago. So be sure to do the price comparisons, and I can tell you that there are some supermarkets who will try to still keep the price of flour at a certain accessible price point to the consumers out of compassion, because we understand perhaps more clearly than other actors in society that we operate at a street level, and we need to make the items as accessible to our customers, many of whom are grassroots and depend upon our products for their livelihoods.
But we really want to thank you this morning for chatting with us, Mr. Rajiv Dipti, President of the Supermarkets Association of Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you.
Thank you, and all the best for 2022. Have a wonderful New Year's. Take care, Tobago family.
All right, then. Thank you very much.
And all the best to you as well. And we will be chatting. Maybe later on, some time in the future, we will be able to connect with Mr. Dipti.
It's safe to say we'll connect with him next year.
Next year, definitely. But it was a pleasure indeed making that connection. Julian, I'm not sure if you were following the live as Mr. Dipti was speaking, but we have a lot of persons weighing in on the issue here of this NFM increase. The issue of returning to the old days. One person says, Ria, what am I supposed to do? I love my bread, I love my cakes. Mr. August Alfred says, what we have to do in Trinidad and Tobago is produce and consume an alternative to flour, which is what, which is where the conversation headed just a little while ago. Maybe looking at, as Mr. Dipty said, Edo's flour, cassava flour, dasheen flour. And the thing is, Tobago has been known as the
and in fact, we have established entities within the Tobago space, even within the construct of the Tobago House of Assembly, that looked at the production. I know we would have had the cassava production company and so on. So it really speaks to an opportunity where we've got to go back to what we know. But really, I assure you that it's definitely going to be challenging because one already has what is a natural kind of taste, and even if even if it means having a little less, the reality is you'll still want to have some of it. I saw one of our the person viewers on the live indicating, well, you can't have your cake, inverted commas, and eat it, and that's the toss-up in this circumstance. But you're getting a clear message, at least from the side of NFM, in terms of from the business side of it, that it's difficult to continue or to produce and to sell lower than the actual cost that you're actually producing at. Definitely you're heading in the wrong direction under those circumstances. But I feel as though it was almost inevitable, especially when I look at what's been happening around the Caribbean region. In fact, I said to myself it was only a matter of time before the same kind of challenge came here to Trinidad and Tobago.
So Dan, is it Leonardo? Dan Leonardo says, I'm ready to go into cassava farming. Now, Julian, is it that we have to eat the way persons in Trinidad eat? Do Tobagonians have to continue to eat the way Trinidadians eat? Don't get me wrong. We have come from a background and a culture of growing what we eat. There was a time when our parents or grandparents grew up on cassava for breakfast.
Yes.
You understand? Persons had lower blood sugars and lower blood pressures, and you lived a healthier life. And maybe we need to go back to some of these days, and in so doing, we will continue to live healthier. So I'm saying here, it may not be such a bad thing, but it's an opportunity for persons, it's an opportunity for job creation or recreation, because you spoke a while ago about the processing plant.
Correct.
So it's an opportunity to revive some of these things and open doors for persons who may be unemployed or looking for other streams of income.
And if I'm not mistaken, just as I mentioned, we have the availability of things like cassava flour and so on. And the reason why I remember it distinctly is because when I have friends who visit here, it's a big thing for them, and in fact I'm going to Shaw Park to get that cassava flour just so that they can have it to take back.
Thank you.
To take back with them. So it really speaks to an opportunity that we have to look at. Viewers, we want to thank you for continuing to join the conversation and to engage and assist. Remember, while you're viewing these interviews, if you have ideas and you have questions as well, drop it in on the live. You never know, we might be able to just fit it in to our lineup as we engage our guests on the Tobago Updates morning show. We want to remind you, remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Talk, watch, and listen to win big this Christmas with a Digicel Prime Bundle. The more you watch, cheer, and dance to your favorite Digicel apps, the more chances you have to win thousands of Shake to Win prizes. Enter to win grand prizes of $100,000, home appliances, and groceries valued at $50,000 or free Digicel services for a year. Visit My Digicel or dial *323# to buy a Prime Bundle today. And talk, watch, listen to win big with Digicel. Better together this Christmas.
Carnival is the time when you let yourself go to that place in your soul that your mind want to go, holding on to a bumper and just whining away your life. So when you see them girls coming and they whining down low, it have nobody outside there, but that's a sad thing, because we want to get back to some level of normalcy, and the only way to do that is by taking the vaccine. So TNT, let's do this. Let's get back to normal. Please don't hesitate. Vaccinate.
Citizens, get the vaccine for you, me, and TNT. Kindly sponsored by NLCB, DSALCOT.
Jump up and down like you just don't care. It's carnival time, you can feel it in the air. This I wanna go on clear.
The Grinch has gone greener. In TNT, we love to lime and laugh a lot, but our waste hurts the earth, and that has got to stop. Good thing for those going greener, stepping up to save the day. Everyday heroes in their own way. You too can show you care. Recycle aluminum, plastic, glass, and Tetra Paks with iCare. Gather up the empties. Take them to your nearest iCare spot. They're all across the country. Check iCare TT and let's clean up. Help clear our drains and landfills. Stop the flood. So simple to do good. Recycle now with iCare. Let's all do our part. Show Sweet TNT we love you with all of our heart. Visit iCare TT for more info.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good
Morning, viewers. Welcome back. This is the Tobago Updates Morning Show. It's 7:33 a.m. Yes, this is the final Thursday in 2021. In this segment, we are chatting with President General of the Oilfield Workers Trade Union, OWTU, Ansel Roger, and we are speaking to the issue of mandatory vaccine for government workers. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you, and good morning to our comrades, brothers and sisters in Tobago, and of course in Trinidad, where we are being heard and viewed.
I should say welcome to Tobago on this virtual platform.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. I'd like to be there physically.
Yes, so this morning we're going straight into the discussions on the topic at hand in terms of mandatory vaccine for government workers. We would have seen quite recently the AG making some pronouncements coming out of a meeting with the OWTU in relation to, putting forward indications that there's no clear position of the OWTU when it comes to the matter of mandatory vaccination. He said on one note, some of the union leaders like yourself are saying that you have taken the vaccine, but on the other note, you are raising concerns and objections in terms of making it mandatory so that all your members have that kind of safety and security. We want you to give us somewhat of an opening indication of what is the position of the OWTU.
Well, first of all, thanks for the opportunity to bring clarity to what otherwise would have been obfuscated and confused by the AG purposely. Let me just say from the onset that the trade union movement, the joint trade union movement, of which I have the pride, honor, and privilege to lead, we support vaccination. I want to get that clear. And we are making efforts in our own spaces to encourage our members to be vaccinated. So let's get that out of the way. We are not an anti-vax movement. We are for this. We are for encouraging as much people as we can, starting with our members, to be vaccinated. But the point we wish to make is that if at the end of the day, such a person, such an individual, after our attempting to convince him or her, chooses not to take the vaccine, that is that person's choice, that person's personal choice. And that personal choice, having decided that, look, whatever the reason, at this time I'm not convinced that I should take the vaccine, that person that person must not be penalized by the virtue of being removed from their jobs. That is the position that we hold near and dear to. That you are now systematically removing people from their jobs because of their exercising their right of choice. And when those persons would have, and some of them for years working in the public service, contributing enormously to the development of our nation, such a person one morning to wake up and look and to hear that, listen, because I'm not taking the vaccine, I'm now out of a bread, out of a job. That is the problem that we have. Now, I have said on many occasions...
Goes against, would you say that this firmly goes against good industrial practice in terms of what the initial engagement might have been and changing the terms along the way?
Well, I was coming to that because, first of all, the meeting with the AG, let me just say it was not just the OWTU, it was the Joint Trade Union Movement, for which I mentioned that I lead, of 17 trade unions representing various sectors. Now, when the public servants were engaged in their jobs, whatever type, they were engaged under certain terms and conditions and work arrangements. That is guaranteed in their work contract. And therefore, if an employer, and the government is the largest employer, want to change the terms and conditions of work, that which was negotiated, you have to enter into a process of meaningful dialogue that would lead to an agreement that would change it. To unilaterally change that from some prime minister's decree, from some high horse or tall building, to say, you now have to work in a safe zone, and to come in some backward technical way that we are making your workplace a safe zone, and that you will now be required to be vaccinated. And if you are not vaccinated, you will be removed from your jobs. You wouldn't be allowed to come to work. You wouldn't be paid. That is going to the root of interfering unilaterally with my terms and conditions of work. And therefore, we said to the Attorney General in that meeting that, listen, you cannot make a decision and then call me to the table to discuss, just to say that you had discussion with me, but still go ahead with the decision that you would have made. And we said quite clearly, listen, if we are to engage in meaningful discussion that would lead to an agreement on the way forward, remove that deadline, that axe that is hanging over the heads of the public servants. Because may I say to you, comrade, that they are starting with the public servants. And any worker who believes that that will start and stop at the public servants is in a fool's paradise. Because this government cannot be trusted to start with. And also, the fact that they would start with the public service, it would run through like salt throughout the entire national workforce. There are employers already who we would have taken to court, who would have taken that position. And the court would have said, well, no, hold it. You did not have discussion. And when the Prime Minister made that announcement, whether or not he knew, they did not have any discussion. So to backtrack now and to correct a mistake, they hurriedly called a meeting with the trade union movement. But at that meeting saying that, listen, we have decided this and we're not going to change. But want me to come as a tack-on, want us in the trade union movement to come as a tack-on, just to say that they would have had discussions. And I think that whole process is flawed, and any right-thinking, honest, reasonable person will agree that you can't take a decision and then call me to the table and then say we discuss, but you're going ahead in the same way. That is wrong, and it goes to the heart of trust issues and so on. And more appropriately, it interferes with my terms and conditions of work.
Okay. No, I want to say that you seem quite suspicious of this government, Mr. Rushi, but my question here to you, you recently forwarded some correspondence to the Attorney General about approximately 10 questions or so. One of your questions, in one of your questions, you are questioning the deadline date, which is the January 15th, the January 20, January 15, 2022 date. Yes, of the mandatory vaccination here. Why is that?
Well, we are very cautious and very suspicious, and let me just go back to the issue of trust. At that meeting, and I'll come to your question. At that meeting with the Attorney General last week, he committed to come back to us very soon and give a response. Lo and behold, he did not come back. We saw him out in the media responding. So if you and me discuss and you say, well, look, listen, I would respond to you tomorrow. Very soon I'll come back to you. But then you hear me telling the neighbor and down in the village and telling everybody and not talking to me, then something has to be wrong with that. And that has been the modus operandi in our experience with the government. You talk about an issue, they committed to come back to you, and then you hear them on some public relations stunt, going out to the media and so on, and not getting back to you. So it goes to the heart of the trust issues and how we engage in a process going forward. And some of these questions really are common sense questions. Because is it that you're going to ask the businessmen, the business community, the grocery and the shops and the mall owners and so on, who already said that they are not for the safe zone. But is it that you are going to make a law now to ensure that all where people shop are safe zone? Because the same public servant who would come on a Monday morning to his workplace, which workplace they are now calling a safe zone, that same public servant would have been all over the place, and he's vaccinated, all of us vaccinated, so we take off our mask, we let down our guard, but I don't know his or her whereabouts. And what it says to me is that the vaccine does not prevent me from getting the virus, and it does not prevent anyone, including me, from spreading the virus. So how safe is a zone when I am interacting all over the place? What that calls for is for responsible behavior and people taking their own personal responsibility, whether you're vaccinated or not. And back to this question of this arbitrary date in January. Prime Minister make a decree. What is that linked to? Of course, we understand the urgency, which is why we are saying that let us discuss in a meaningful way, because what might be good for one workplace might not be good for another workplace and so on. So it's site-specific type of arrangement. But all of those things can be gone out in a discussion that is honest and meaningful.
As well, sorry, Mr. Rose, as well, here the employers who are pushing for mandatory vaccinations, you indicated here that they must also accept full liability for anything that occurs to staff with provisions made for their families.
Well, those are some of the discussion. That's well, the security personnel who had a separate meeting with the Attorney General could speak to that issue about what specifically they refer to in respect of the issue of liability. But I mean, generally speaking, if you are forcing me, which is what it is now, against my hesitancy for good reasons in my mind, then if I'm incapacitated, and we know of a number of cases of people who would have suffered adverse effect as a result of taking the vaccine. If I'm incapacitated as a result of taking this vaccine that you're forcing me to take, who would be to take care of my family? And that is the question that that was raised in that context. How will my family be taken care after if I cannot move my legs or if I suffer some sort of side effect? And we have had those instances in the recent past and so on.
Mr. Roger,
our main trust, sir, is, listen, we are not against it. We are for the vaccine, but we are for pro-choice. Leave me with my right to choose to take it or not to take it. Yeah.
I want to ask, though, looking at the reality that this pandemic affects us far and wide, when do we make a decision that seeks to move people closer to a direction of going with the vaccine, seeing that the science seems to indicate us most of those countries and areas that have been able to return to some kind of normalcy have been forced to increase their vaccination rate? How does the government do it differently?
No, sir. No, sir. No. We need to. That's what they are pushing. Now, I don't want to get into the those issues that the anti-vax associations and so on that raise. But what you are saying is not completely true. Italy now is in a situation where they are going to a fourth booster shot. Yeah? And they would have had a high vaccination rate. And why I think they're going into the fourth booster shot is because, notwithstanding that, the virus still prevails. So suggest that countries that would have had with fully vaccinated, because they are fully vaccinated, so to suggest that countries that are fully vaccinated, that they are now back to normal, that is not so. And we can do the research, and you can go to countries that have been have a high vaccination rate but still have the problem with the coronavirus. Now, is it that we will go to...
Mr. Roger, how does the OWTA then respond to the concern with the continued increase in deaths that we are experiencing in this country?
Well, that's another thing. If I don't trust you and you are bringing the figures to me, is it that people don't die from anything else again in this country? If you remove the coronavirus, would people live forever? No. Because you're not hearing about death by natural causes or any other causes right now. And anything, if I bounce my head and I go to the hospital and I die, but I'm tested positive for COVID, I'll be a COVID-related statistic. Everything is being fed into that. This is the feeling that we have. Everything is being fed into those statistics. Yes, in their campaign, to instill fear and so on in the population. Now, it is serious. We recognize that. But if you don't come clean, how would we trust one another to engage?
Okay.
So really, to answer your question, we raised some issues with those particular statistics and so on. Yeah?
Okay. Well, thank you so much, and I really wish we could continue that. We can continue this discussion.
You know, it's important. Someone is asking for clarity. Just before you go, Mr. Roger, someone is asking for clarity. Does this indication from the Attorney General and the government apply to public service in the literal sense of public servants only, or does it also apply very widely to contracted officers, daily rated officers, whether you work in the field, whether you work in office? What's your understanding?
Everybody. And you know what? All the national workforce will be enveloped in that. And is it that you're asking the public to show that you are vaccinated to access services from these areas? So a lot of questions are to be answered around that. Or is it that the government is accessing some international funding and they need to show that they are doing something different? And what percentage of the public servants are unvaccinated at this time to drive this effort to come to this decision and so on? And these are the questions that we are asking, that we need
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we've got to leave it there. But Julian and Mr. Roger, we want to thank you so much for joining us for this segment. But very quickly here, the weight, we also have to consider here the weight of this COVID-19 pandemic on the healthcare system, the cost to the healthcare system, because we sit and we think about these things. Yes, we hear the call for pro-choice, right? But we also have to look at the both sides of the scale.
Yeah, I have to say as well, I also do support the call for giving persons the choice. And I wait to see what will happen come mid-January, because particularly in our Tobago space, where a very large percentage of some of our frontline workers are not yet vaccinated, I don't see in a practical way how this decision is going to work. Are we going to now operate on a large percentage less of the police force, a percentage less of nurses, a percentage less of teachers? It's
fire
difficult.
Officers, yeah.
So it's really left to be seen what will happen in the mix here as we go forward, approaching that January 15, 2021, 2022 timeline. All right, viewers, so we want to remind you to continue to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Trinidad and Tobago, I am Nigel Paul, winner of a bronze medal at the recently concluded IBA World Boxing Championships for men held in Serbia in the 92 plus kgs category. I got vaccinated to represent the red, white and black with distinction. So now I'm asking you, all citizens, to please get the vaccine. Do it for yourself, do it for your family, do it for the country. We the athletes want to train every day and bring back medals for you. So don't hesitate, vaccinate today.
Citizens, get the vaccine for you, me and TNT. Don't hesitate. Vaccinate today. Kindly sponsored by NLCB, DeSalcott.
You did the right thing. So now we're giving you things. Republic Bank thanks you and wants to reward you for getting vaxxed. Win $5,000 in prizes every week, plus one of 2 cars in December. You took care of your health, and now we're taking care of you. $5,000 and a chance to win a car. See press and log on to republictt.com for details.
Talk, watch, and listen to win big this Christmas with a Digicel Prime Bundle. The more you watch, cheer, and dance to your favorite Digicel apps, the more chances you have to win thousands of shake-to-win prizes. Enter to win grand prizes of $100,000, home appliances, and groceries valued at $50,000 or free Digicel services for a year. Visit My Digicel or dial *323# to buy a Prime Bundle today. And talk, watch, listen to win big with Digicel. Better together this Christmas.
The Grinch has gone greener. In TNT, we love to lime and laugh a lot, but our waste hurts the earth, and that has got to stop. Good thing for those going greener, stepping up to save the day. Everyday heroes in their own way. You too can show you care. Recycle aluminum, plastic, glass, and Tetra Paks with iCare. Gather up the empties. Take them to your nearest iCare spot. They're all across the country. Check iCare TT and let's clean up. Help clear our drains and landfills. Stop the flood. So simple to do good. Recycle now with iCare. Let's all do our part. Show sweet TNT we love you with all of our heart. Visit iCare TT for more info.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning. Viewers, welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show. We are still chatting here, and I'll tell you something. The discourse is intense. I enjoyed both interviews for the morning. The questions still keep coming in, Julian. Persons are concerned. But before we get into all of that, and Julian is going to be sharing in a little while some of the comments coming in on the live. But very quickly here, we've got an anniversary greeting. And I'll read what it says. It says, happy anniversary to the 2 most important people I know. The people that have given us life and helped us grow. We could not ask for better parents who have always been right by our side. You taught us right from wrong. You taught us honor and pride. Today we celebrate your love, a love that is shared forever. Here's to the marriage that stood the test of time together. From all of your kids, we love you. And this is going out to Paul and Nadine Dempster. And this is coming from all, and I have to say all of your children. Your children, not sure if there are any grandchildren, but your children and your Tobago Updates family. So lots of love going out to you guys.
And I think it's also safe to say we usually have on the live Paul's sisters as well.
That's right.
Auntie Dawnette, Auntie Dawn Dempster, the entire team out there. So really wishing them a happy anniversary. Happy anniversary.
And if I'm not mistaken, by now his niece has her Tobago Updates card, does she not?
Thank you so much for the continued love and support. Ria, the comments have been very interesting, and a particular one stands out. We have Paula James Roberts making the comment that this is what happened in Antigua, where there was mandatory vaccination and persons were not paid for months once vaccination was not, once non-vaccination was chosen. Then later, everyone was asked to return, and that's an interesting position because I keep asking the question. The 15th of January is literally days away.
Right.
If we do not have this drastic increase in vaccination, ultimately what does that mean? Can the police service run with that kind of decrease?
Half, 50% of the force. And you heard, you hear comments coming in on, or read comments coming in rather on social media, and persons are saying maybe this is an opportunity for vaccinated, unemployed, persons with degrees and stuff to jump in and actually have a job. What do you do, according to you, when police, I mean, you can't just take a man off the street and put him as a police officer because officers are unvaccinated and unable to come out to work.
And we go even to our healthcare workers.
Exactly, healthcare workers. So what do you do? And like I said, Mr. Roger is questioning, and I read some of the approximate 10 questions, but questioning here, that question I asked about, the timing of the deadline, that deadline that the government gave, the Prime Minister gave here, the questioning behind it, as to whether or not it was as a result of the vaccines expiring at a particular time and, persons having to utilize them before a certain date. So all of these things coming into play.
I suspect it's strongly connected in terms of the expiry date with regards to the vaccines. So we're going to say as well, good morning and shout out. I see Giselle Donaldson Yates joining us on the live. Good morning, good morning.
Carol Fraser.
Carol Fraser.
Carol Fraser Davidson, yeah.
Hey, Carol Fraser Davidson, good morning to you there, all the way up in Speyside.
All right. Well, Julian, we've got to call it quits for today. But viewers, we've got a really great program planned for you tomorrow. We want to thank you for joining us today. We trust that it was beneficial, it was educational and uplifting. So, we say goodbye to our viewers.
Bye-bye, folks.
Remember to wear your mask, sanitize.
I don't want to break no bones. I just want a microphone. Take the mask off your face and look at me face to face. Good morning, good morning, good morning, Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place.